Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Christ the royal master leads against the foe. Forward into battle, see his banners go. Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. Oh, for a faith that will not shrink, though pressed by every foe, that will not tremble on the brink of any earthly woe, that will not murmur or complain beneath a chastening rod, but in the hour of grief or pain will lean upon its God. A faith that shines more bright and clear when tempests rage without, that when in danger knows no fear, in darkness feels no doubt. Lord, give us such a faith as this, and then whatever may come, we'll taste and hear the hallowed bliss of an eternal home. A charge to keep I have, a God to glorify, a never-dying soul to save, and fitted for the sky, to serve the present age, my calling to fulfill. Oh, may it all my powers engage to do my Master's will. Arm me with jealous care, as in thy sight to live, and O thy servant, Lord, prepare a strict account to give. Help me to watch and pray, and on thyself rely. Assured if I my trust betray, I shall forever die. Rise up, O men of God, have done with lesser things. Give heart and mind and soul and strength to serve the King of Kings. Rise up, O men of God, his kingdom tarries long. Bring in the day of brotherhood and end the night of wrong. Rise up, O men of God, the church for you doth wait. Her strength unequal to her task, rise up and make her great. Lift high the cross of Christ, tread where his feet have trod. As brothers of the Son of Man, rise up, O men of God. Good afternoon. Welcome to another edition of Study to Show Ourselves Approved unto God. Workmen that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth is what we seek to do right here. Let's edify one another as we seek to accomplish this goal. We are continuing our studies of beginning at the beginning, studies of Genesis, lessons in Genesis. And we pick up our study in chapter 26 of Genesis. Abraham has passed away, and the focus shifts to his son Isaac. And we, again, as I said, pick up in 26. Remove that so we know that we're done there. All right. What we see here in verse 26, there's two different important events that happen here in Genesis 26. Technically, three. First off, we have God's promise to Isaac. Then we have his dealings with Abimelech. And finally, we have Isaac's dealings with the Philistines themselves. It serves a good illustration of Isaac and his character. It also serves to illustrate the teaching of Abraham in how Isaac's formative years were. Let's take a look at this. In Genesis 26, verses 1 through 5, we have God reiterating, or God passing the promises down from Abraham to Isaac. It was during another famine in the land of Canaan. And from this, we kind of understand that, you know what, this land seems to see its share of famines. It was similar to the famine that was in the days of Abraham. Obviously, this was a great distance of time from that. And remember, there were two different famines in the land, because there was a famine wherein Abraham went down to Egypt, and there was a famine wherein Abraham went over, I think. Now I'm confused. No, there was only one famine. Okay, so yes, there was only one famine. Never mind. Scratch that. Rewind that one. This was similar to the famine that drove Abraham to Egypt. But this time, God appears unto Isaac because the Lord appears unto him and says, "Do not go down to Egypt. Dwell in this land that I shall tell thee of." He forbids Isaac from going into Egypt. He says instead, dwell here in the land of the Philistines. I will be with thee, he says. I will bless thee, for unto thee and to thy seed I will give these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So what God says is, I swore this oath unto Abraham thy father, and because he was faithful, I am confirming that oath to you. And he says, because Abraham did that, he passed the test. And so here's the oath I'm going to give to you, the same oath that I gave to Abraham. What is implied in that is that Isaac needs to do the same thing Abraham did. So Abraham set the bar. God says, I gave this oath to Abraham. He performed all my commands, my statutes, and my laws. He kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. And so now I'm going to pass the oath to you. You need to do the same thing. And so this is implicit in that. This is implied, in other words. It is not, it's not that Isaac was inherently going to receive that just simply because Abraham did, he was going to receive the blessing simply because Abraham was faithful. He received the oath because of that faithfulness. And notice that God says, I will make, I will give, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed, or shall be blessed in thy seed. So this is all future tense. What does that hinge upon? Verse 3. In verse 3, he says, sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee. If Isaac had not sojourned in that land, God would not have been with him. If Isaac had not sojourned in that land, God would not have blessed him. This is the promise. This is the oath that he gives unto Isaac. If you live in this land, I will be with you. I will bless you. For unto you and your seed I will give all these countries. And I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. So it was all contingent upon whether or not Isaac was going to follow the footsteps of Abraham and keep God's charge. God, just like Abraham, God said, leave you the land of your nativity, leave your family and go to the land that I shall tell you, and I will be with you in this. Well, God does the same thing to Isaac. Stay in this land, and I will be with thee. I will bless thee. What was the blessing? The oath that he gave unto Abraham. So we continue on. Now we come to Isaac and Abimelech. Okay, so Isaac, as we noted in verse 1, he comes to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. Now, remember that Abimelech has had a vision from God originally when he was dealing with Abraham initially. And God says, do not touch this woman. Remember that? Well, Isaac comes here because of the because of the land, because of the relationship that Abimelech had with his father. And the men of this place ask him of his wife, and so he says, she is my sister. For he feared to say, she is my wife, lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. I don't know what it is about these men and their fear of dying for their wives. But there you have it. Abraham and Isaac both lied by omission. In essence, both of them said they are my relative, or they are my sister. They both said they are my sister. The word here that Isaac used is the word for relative, also the word for sister, and for half-sister, by the way. So he says, she is my relative, she is my sister. And he says that because he doesn't want to die for her. He doesn't want to lose his life. He would rather live with her than to die for her. because he recognizes how beautiful she is. Alicia, I think you've missed a few because that's not a very long list of taggers. Where is everybody? Anyway. Okay, so when it comes to pass that, though, he's been there a while, and Abimelech looks out his window and happens to see Isaac sporting with Rebecca, whether that word is meaning having a picnic or chasing her around or just exactly, dancing with her, just what it was that he was doing. He was behaving with her in a way of a husband with a wife. Because Abimelech calls Isaac and he says, "Hey, that's your wife. How come you said she is your relative?" I'm going to look at that sporting. The word sakak means to laugh outright. By implication, to sport, laugh, mock, play, make sport. It's the same word that is used when Sarah laughed. It's the same word when Abraham laughed about Sarah having a child. It's the same word used when Lot went out and talked to his son-in-laws. It's the same word used when Ishmael was making fun, mocking Isaac. So we kind of get the same idea. They were making sport, and it was in such a way that it was hello, Reba. He was making sport with it, that it was between a husband and a wife. It was not the kind of sport, jest, play that would go on between a brother and a sister. It was not the kind of play that would go on between between any other kind of relationship, but that of a husband and a wife. And Abimelech calls him on the carpet and says, "Why?" And Isaac says, "Because lest I die for her." So Abimelech says, in essence, did you not think about the rest of us? One of the people might have gone in line with laying with thy wife. It's interesting that he doesn't go and say, well, one of my people might have gone and forced himself on your wife. Which would have been a total, different guiltiness as well. Because why would you be going out and laying with somebody who isn't your wife in the first place? But Abimelech says, did you not stop and think about the guilt that you could have brought upon the rest of the people by what you've done? And that's a sobering thought. We need to remember from this, we stand reproved by Abimelech too. Because when we're tempted to lie by the sin of omission, I mean, was Rebecca a relative of his? Absolutely. She was his cousin. distantly, but she was still his cousin. But she was also his wife. So by omitting the fact that she was his wife, he sinned. He omitted a fact. He omitted the truth, the full truth. And if we are tempted to lie by omission or leave off some of the truth in a situation, we stand reproved as well, because we're not thinking of what the consequences are to the other people who operate then on not having the full truth. And what that might cause them to do. Abimelech then charges all the people, saying, "Do not touch this man or his wife, or you will die." Do you remember that there was a covenant between Abimelech and Abraham? Let's see here. Hello, Debbie. Good to see you. There's a covenant between Abraham and Abimelech. Abimelech comes to Abraham saying, "God is with thee in all that thou doest. Now, therefore, swear unto me here by God that you will not deal falsely with me, nor with my son, nor with my son's son, but according to the kindness that I have done unto thee, thou shalt do unto me and to the land wherein thou sojournest." So there's a covenant, a mutual benefit, if you will. And in essence, what would have or could have happened in this could have been disastrous for that covenant. If one of Abimelech's had lain with one of Abraham's, that would have broken the covenant. Because then Isaac would have means or opportunity or motive for dealing with them according to the kindness that had been done unto him, even though he was the one that instigated it through not telling the full truth. There's some pretty severe connotations, isn't there? So Abimelech protects Isaac. And Isaac then what we have in verses 12 and following through the rest of the chapter is Isaac becoming very great during this time of sojourning in the land of the Philistines. And he comes back through and he opens up the wells that his father and father's servants had dug. And there becomes quite a bit of strife after this, because Abraham had opened up these wells. They dug these wells, and then the Philistines had stopped them, filled them up with earth. It's like they didn't want them. So Isaac comes back along, opens them up, And the Philistines come back and says, no, those are ours. So there comes a strife over these wells. But notice the character of Isaac. Almost got it. Because Isaac opened them up, and he called them after the names by which his father had called them. And the herdsmen of Gerar strove with them. And what did Isaac do? They left. They went and dug another well. Remember Abraham's dealing with Lot? Rather than strive with his brother, his kinsman, and their servant, and let the servants strive together, Abraham says to Lot, you choose which way you go. If you go to the right hand, I'll go to the left. If you go to the east, I'll go to the west. You choose. Because the land can't bear both of us, and we don't need to be at odds with one another. Isaac was the same way. He was a peacemaker. So when the herdsmen of Gerar strove with him, he just up and left. You can have the well. We'll go dig another one. And so he dug another one, found more water. They strove with that one also. So he removed from there, dug another well. And that one they didn't strive for. They were content with the two that they had. And so he called the name of that one Rehoboth, because now the Lord hath made room for them. So after that, he goes up to Beersheba, and the Lord appears to him and promises him, he says, fear not, I am the God of Abraham, thy father. I am with thee. I will bless thee. I will multiply thy seed for thy servant, or for my servant Abraham's sake. So he builds an altar there and calls upon the name of the Lord. So Abimelech comes to him from Gerar, and he comes with Ahuzzath and with Phicol, the chief captain of his army. Again, we have Abimelech, the king of Gerar. We have Phicol. This is 40 years after the first time that Abimelech and Phicol come to the Hebrews. 40 some years anyway. Because remember, Isaac hadn't even been born. And he comes up to him at Beersheba, and Abimelech comes up there, and he makes an oath with Isaac. Practically the same covenant as he made with Abraham. You will do no hurt with us. We have not touched thee. We have done nothing to thee but good, and we have sent thee away in peace, because you are now blessed of the Lord. We see God's hand with you as it was with your father. And so they had a feast. They made the covenant. And so they went away. And that, of course, is where Beersheba came into play. Called it Sheba, which now the town grew up around the well, and it's called Beersheba. So now we pan back to Esau. So this was sometime during, after Esau and Isaac were born. This was after the time that all this took place, after the time that evidently that Isaac that Esau and Jacob had grown up and were hunting and taking care of flocks and stuff like that. Esau now comes of age, 40 years old, same age Isaac was when he got married. Esau gets married. I want you to notice this. Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were of grief of mind unto Isaac and unto Rebekah. Now, do you remember how Isaac got his wife? Can you sum up how Isaac got his wife? I'll give you just a little bit of time. Abraham's servant went and got her. So Abraham sent away for Isaac's wife. Where was Isaac in the process of Esau getting his wife? Did Esau consult with Isaac and Rebekah? In a day and age wherein marriages were arranged, where was Isaac? Still at home? In Genesis 24:67, do you see Isaac taking Rebekah? Or was Rebekah given or presented to Isaac? Well, it says he took Rebekah and she became his wife. It does say that right there. But she was presented to him as his bride. For we see here that the servant, he sees this caravan coming, and he goes to meet it, and he sees her, and the servant tells Isaac all the things that had been done, which basically means he says, here's your wife. I have brought your wife to you. So Isaac brings her to Sarah's tent. They get married, and she becomes his wife. But through the whole process, what we see is Abraham had a hand in choosing Isaac's wife. What we don't see in Genesis 26:34 and 35 is that Isaac does not appear to have had a hand in choosing Esau's wives. What does this tell you about Esau's character?
At the bottom is Sean.
But I mean, that's not your full list, is it?
No.
Reba says he didn't care what his parents thought. That's absolutely it. If he doesn't care what his parents thought, that means he's disrespectful to his parents, isn't it? If he didn't consult his parents in the regards of his wife, so he goes out, he sees Judith and he sees Bashamath and he likes, hey, look at those girls. I'm going to get them to wife. He doesn't respect the wishes of his parents. Whether or not whether he had his parents go, or have Isaac go and say, hey, I want Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite. I want Bashamath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite. Go get these for me. We're not told. But the fact that they were a grief of mine to Isaac and to Rebekah, and that we do not see them having a part in the acquisition, if you will, of these wives in a day and age when arranged marriages were the norm. It tells us that Esau did not care. He didn't respect his parents. In fact, one may say he didn't respect them because he didn't even honor or respect his birthright. Did he? He gave that up he sold it for a pottage of, bowl of pottage. Which we bring into a clearer picture the character of Esau. And it shows, like what Hebrews chapter 12 tells us when it says that Esau was a profane person. Hello, Sister T. You're late. So Esau was a profane person, and that translates into someone who did not seek the opinion of his parents. They didn't seek their help. I'm trying to see here. Okay. All right. Well, that's roughly at this time, Jacob and Esau would have been about 70, 77 years old. If we were to look at the chronology and determine age. Well, no, not 77. Of course, we see that Isaac or Jacob or Esau was actually 40 years old when he took the wife. And the way that it kind of jumps in here, is kind of always interesting. Okay, so anyhow, so Isaac's 40 years old, or not Isaac, Jacob and Esau are 40 years old when Esau gets married. And these two daughters of the Canaanites were a complete grief of mind to Isaac and to Rebekah. They were such that that we don't see Isaac or Rebekah involved in the process of choosing them or helping him get him. So moving on down the line, then what we come to see here in 27, which we have enough time to begin this. Isaac has aged quite a few years in between Genesis 26 and Genesis 27. He's old enough, his eyes were dim, so he could not see. And Isaac would have been 137, roughly, years old at this point in time. I doubt that you and I, if we ever lived that old, would have very good eyesight either. But his eyes were dim. He could not see. He was blind. And so he calls Esau, his eldest son. He says unto him, my son, and he gives instructions to Esau. He says, I know I'm old. I don't know when I'm going to die, but I know I'm old. So go get your weapons, get your quiver, get your bow, go out and get me some venison, make me some savory meat such as I love, bring it to me that I may eat, and then I'll bless you before I die. Let's get this over with. And so Rebekah is somewhere near, and she hears this. Esau goes to the field, and come here, you silly fly. Esau goes to the field, and Rebecca goes to Jacob. Whose idea is it to steal the blessing? Reba says Rebecca's. Indeed. She says, I will make them savory meat for thy father, which such as he loves, and you shall bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. It's Rebecca's idea. Did Jacob deceive Esau in the matter of his birthright? Birthright, not blessing, birthright. Remember, the birthright incident was for where Esau sold his birthright for a bowl of soup. Did Esau have to agree to Jacob's demands? No. Did Jacob deceive him in any way? No, because Jacob said, if you want a bowl of soup, I'll sell it to you for your birthright. The conditions were clear, right? Could Esau not have gone to his own tent and made his own food? Or had one of the servants make him some food? Did he really have to have, and I know I'm throwing a bunch of questions at you real fast in a hurry. Did he really have to have Jacob's soup? Reba says, yes, he could have made his own. Teresa says, no, he didn't have to have Jacob's soup. So Jacob did not deceive Esau in the matter of the birthright. Who did Jacob deceive in the matter of the blessing? Well, in reality, it was Rebekah's idea to deceive Isaac. Did Jacob have to go along with Rebekah's plan? Reba says no. No, Sister Teresa. Jacob did not have to go with Rebekah's plan. what is the difference between the character of Esau that we saw at the end of the last chapter and the character of Jacob that we see here in 27? Remember, Esau was disrespectful of his parents. He chose wives of the land. And that was another point. Remember how Abraham said to his servant, you will not, you will, he said, go to Padan Aram, to the land of my kindred, and get a wife for Isaac that he doesn't want to marry in this land. Well, Esau was the firstborn, but that's not part of his character, Teresa. He was disrespectful of his parents. He was a profane man, Hebrews 12 says, which means he didn't hold things in high regard that he should have held in high regard. Jacob, on the other hand, was obedient to his mother. Now, we, of course, are to be, children are to obey their parents in the Lord. And lying is not deceiving is not part of the Lord's will for us, right? Amen. And Jacob brings up some valid points. He said, perhaps my father will feel me, and I'm not a hairy man. I'm a smooth-skinned man. And so I will seem to him as a deceiver, which I shall be, and I'll bring a curse instead of a blessing. And his mother says to him, if that happens, your curse be upon me. Just obey my voice and go. So, as an obedient son, what is he to do? Even though he's between 40 to 70 years old, what is he to do? Between 40 to 80 years old, what's he to do? He goes. He does exactly what his mother had told him to do. And of course, we know the story. We know how she takes a coat of Esau and takes the skins of the goats and puts them on Jacob. Right? Obey his mother. And we know how she makes that savory goat meat, which is very closely, by the way, in leanness and stuff to venison. And she makes that savory meat and makes it taste like venison. And she gives it to Jacob. He takes it to his father, and he says, my father, here am I. Or, my father, I'm Esau, your firstborn. I've done as you wanted to do. Here, rise, eat of my venison, that your soul may bless me. And of course, Isaac, he's like, okay, wait a minute. How did you find it so quickly? This is way before your normal coming back time. And he says, well, because the Lord your God brought it to me. Now, that should have been a warning bells to Isaac right there. The Lord your God What? Anyway, Isaac said, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe they referred to it that way. Isaac said, come near that I may feel you. Because there is warning bells going off in Isaac's head. Jacob goes to him, and Isaac feels him. The voice is Jacob's. The hands are Esau's. So even though Jacob is trying to act like Esau, there's enough of a difference in his voice that Isaac can tell it is indeed Jacob, not Esau. But because of all the rest of the evidence, the rough hair, the smell, the coat, the venison, his mind's like, no, this is Esau. And so he passes the blessing on to Jacob. And he gives him a very great blessing. Therefore God gives you the dew of heaven, the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over thy brethren, and let thy mother's sons bow down to thee. To you. Cursed be everyone who curses thee, and blessed be he that blesses thee. That's interesting. Because doesn't Esau kind of curse Jacob? And Isaac has called down a curse upon them that curse Jacob. Anyhow, and so he gave him a very great blessing. And Jacob makes a hasty exit. And Esau comes in, does his thing, brings the meat to his father, and his father's like, wait a minute. You just brought me food. I'm bound and determined, by the way, to get through this chapter. And he's like, no, I didn't. I just got here. Isaac's like, well, where is he that hath taken venison, brought it to me, and I have eaten of all before you came, and blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed. There's no taking back that blessing, he basically is what Isaac says. And Esau hears the words of his father. He knows exactly who it was. Bless me even also me, O my father. And Isaac knew exactly who it was too. He says, your brother came with subtlety and hath taken away your blessing. So Esau says, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me. Anybody know what supplanted means? Outwitted? One way to look at it is one who takes the heel of another to pull him down in order to take his place. To supplant means to take the place of. To assault in order to take the place of. And that's essentially what Jacob did. The first time he took away his birthright in open and clear by clear means. He made no bones about it. He took it. Hello, Heather. He took it away. The second time, under the authority or under the under the direction of his mother, he did it by subtlety. Jacob should have known better, but he did it anyway, and he did it willingly out of obedience to his mother. Esau says, "Have you not reserved a blessing for me?" And Isaac says, "Nope. I've made him your Lord. What more can I give you? I've given him servants. I've given him corn and wine. And what shall I do for you?" Well, wait. Do you have only one blessing, old man? You kind of see this attitude in him. Do you have only one blessing, Father? Old man? Bless me, even me also. Esau's desperate for this blessing. So Isaac answers and says, "Behold, your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword you shall live, and you shall serve thy brother. It shall come to pass when you shall have the dominion, that you shall break his yoke from off his neck." So he does give Esau a way out. But it's not the great blessing that he had given to Jacob. And as a result, Esau hates Jacob. So Esau says in his heart, "The days of mourning for my father are at hand, then I will slay my brother Jacob." So Esau, already one who's of rather a rebellious nature, as it is, a profane person who disrespects his parents, has disrespected the birthright that God gave him, is already plotting murder. He's just waiting until the end of his dad's life. But nothing is ever done in a vacuum. And even though these were said in his heart, somehow or other, they were repeated in the ears of Rebekah. So Rebekah and Isaac send Jacob away. Go away. Go to Laban. Live with him for a while until your brother's fury dies down. And I will send for you and fetch you from thence. Why should I be deprived also of you both in one day? Because if he kills you, then he's going to have to die too. Remember God's admonition in Genesis chapter 9, verse 6. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. If Esau killed Jacob, Esau would have to give his life as well. Like I said, Rebekah convinces Isaac to send him away, and they do so under the guise of searching for a wife. That is not of the Canaanites, not of the Hittites, not of the land that they are in. And we wrap up there. We begin in 28 next week. I want to say thank you for joining me for another episode of Study to Show Yourself Approved as we continue our lessons in beginning at the beginning, lessons in Genesis. Hopefully you have been edified. Hopefully we have been able to show some new things, or rather explain some old things. And you have been able to learn and increase in wisdom, knowledge, and handling aright the word of truth. I'll see you then. God bless in your walk with Him.